Welcome to the Minority Report podcast, A Year in Marvel. I'm Antonio Alcazar.
And I'm Jason Tech Noir.
We are here with another episode of WandaVision.
We're back on our Marvel kick. Here we are again. Feels like the first time.
Yeah, this time there's going to be a lot less talk because we're not going to set up the episode. We're just going to get right into Marvel.
Indeed, we're just going to jump right into the episode. You know what we're doing here, so here we go.
All right.
WandaVision episode 3 starts. It's a Brady Bunch beginning. It's into the 70s. So we've had the 50s, we've had the 60s, and now we're working on the 70s.
Yeah.
They have the whole music going on, WandaVision and whatnot. Very cute little intro.
Yeah.
Jumps into Wanda's...
Can I say how well they've done these intros, man?
Yeah.
I've loved every one of them so far.
They're probably the highlight of the show for me. Like, I really
see what they're
enjoy
going to do with it. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm very interested to see how they go into the next one. Maybe there'll be a Saved by the Bell episode or something like that.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of Walk Hard.
Sure, yeah.
Because the songs sound so real,
right?
But they're like completely made up.
Obviously, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no.
But they really did them like period specific.
Good comparison. I didn't even catch that. Yeah, you know we're big Walk Hard fans here at Minority Report. We love that shit. So. Into the episode, Wanda's super pregnant. The doctor's in the house. Very chauvinistic doctor, but it's the 70s, so I expect that. Yeah. Neighbors...
They're leaning into those tropes.
Exactly. The doctor leaves. Vision walks him out. The neighbor's just straight clawing into the concrete fence. Very awkward. Wanda gets even bigger at this time. The nursery starts getting built. They're preparing for the baby. Vision feels something is wrong with the situation, though. Wanda kind of resets time, and it starts again. Her water breaks in very comical... television fashion.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud during the commercial at this time.
The commercial was the
Hydra soap.
Yeah.
It was just like the way it was laid out. It made me laugh out loud. Geraldine comes over, talks to Wanda. Wanda goes through some shit. The stork in the house. That's very weird. Yeah. She can't get rid of it because she tries to do her magic to get rid of it. Doesn't work. Wanda goes into labor. Geraldine's there to help. Twins are born. Vision brings the doctor. He's too late, obviously, because the baby's already born. The doctor walks back out with Vision. He makes mention about how small towns are very hard to escape in a very nervous fashion. Vision looks over. The two neighbors are there. Black guy's still there. The one neighbor that we've dealt with before multiple times. They're acting very weird. They start asking about Geraldine. Wanda starts to remember her brother, starts to sing Russian songs. Yeah. Geraldine remembers how Wanda's brother was killed, mentions Ultron by name. Confrontation between those two. Aspect ratio changes at this point. Geraldine gets thrown back into reality. Cue 7-minute credits. And that's the episode in whole. Now we'll break it down.
Yeah. So first of all, what do you think of this episode? Give me your first impressions.
I'll be honest, I don't love it. I thought the episode was okay. I tried to explain this to a friend of mine the other day because we were speaking about WandaVision in an email chat, and I don't love it. Okay, I feel like I watch a lot of high-end television. We brought this up before, and it starts to color my perception of what I'm watching with TV. I feel as though the show is fine, not great, fine. That's my initial thoughts.
I mean, it's going to surprise you, but I didn't like a lot of this.
Okay.
And I thought it was funny too while I was watching it. I'm like, I think this is going to be the first time that I talk about disliking a Marvel product. And I was hoping that it would just be this episode.
Sure.
Now, in the end, I loved this episode. In the end, I thought that this episode was awesome. But there was a lot of this episode where I was just kind of like, maybe you're leaning too much into the parody stuff.
Yeah, I agree. That's almost the identical complaint I had in parts of the show.
Yeah, the stuff where it was the Marvel stuff, I thought was super engaging. I can't wait for next week. But the Brady Bunch stuff went on long enough that I started to get bored with it. Yeah, and that's where I thought it could have been tightened up. Now, that's not to say I didn't like the episode. I can't wait to rewatch it, just to get a better, sense of it. But I didn't. It was the first time in the 3 episodes that I thought I've had enough of this.
I'm personally not sure if you liked the episode as much as you liked it pushing the story along to get to the next point. Because
I didn't think that the episode was perfect. Normally the things that come out of my mouth are, this is perfect. And this wasn't perfect. I thought that it went on too long.
Yeah.
Just the Brady Bunch stuff.
Right.
There was a point where I was starting to think to myself, Are they expecting now that we're supposed to be enjoying the Brady Bunch stuff for what it is?
Absolutely.
Because if that's the case, I'm not super on board with that. It's a little too campy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like watching the Brady Bunch. There's a reason I don't watch the Brady Bunch. I have access to the Brady Bunch if I wanted to watch it. I don't watch shows like that. I don't watch Bewitched because it's weird and dated and it's just not my speed. And so I love that they're setting a show in this time period or in these like tropes. I think that's cool. That's a great idea. I love the first and second episode. But if you're leaning too much on that, if all I have for a little while for stints is just that, like playing it straight, I'm not going to like that stuff.
I agree.
That can be a good setting, a solid setting, a good setting. But I don't want to watch that show. I want to watch WandaVision. I want to watch a Marvel thing, you know?
This show is dangerously close to doing something that I think is going to be problematic in the long run. It's 8 episodes. Each episode is anywhere between 30 and 40-ish minutes. That's with credits, so a little bit less than that. I think the shortest one is like 29 minutes or whatever, and the longest one so far has been like 39 minutes, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, and each one with 7 minutes of credits.
Yes, and no, I'm sorry, that's without the credits, just the actual episode portions of it.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
My worry for this show is, and I'm going to call it now, and I think this is how I'm going to feel at the end too. It's going to feel like, okay, so you're probably going to have about 8 episodes. You're looking at about 4 hours of content here. Okay, maybe a little bit more than that, about 4.5, almost 5 hours of content. I think at the end, I'm going to feel like this should have been 2 to 2.5 hours of content.
Wow. Okay.
Like this should have probably been a mini series of like 6 episodes at max, because I'm going to feel like each portion of here's the Honeymooners, here's the Bewitched, here's the Brady Bunch, here's the Saved by the Bell, here's the whatever the 90s show is going to be, and all that stuff is going to feel like each portion was too long, and it should have only been a touch of that. 10 minutes of it, or whatever you want to do. Even if you did something where you had 35-minute, 40-minute episodes, but episode 1 and 2 is one episode, 3 and 4 are one episode, cut in half by that commercial that you do. That would be interesting to me. I'm not sure. I don't want to say that quite yet because I haven't seen what the second half of this series is for us. But that's my early thoughts on worries.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think based on this last episode alone, I hope that this is just their hump. That this was their lull. And that it was just because of the pregnancy event happening. And that's it. That from this point forward, it's more of a setting. And then the things are happening around the setting. And I do think that there's some expectation of that because they did a big reveal. Because there was a big, like...
It's a cage.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's kind of a cage. Yeah. But whatever it is, the fact that they gave such a big, like, okay, this is where we're at now. They can't really play too much in the reality of this now. So, like, in the first 3 episodes, there was a lot of, like, I don't know what this is. Is this a reality she's creating or what? So, like, this could just be what we have, like, period. Whereas now that they showed us that this is, like, a thing that she's in. And for real, like... It showed it. And so I think that they've already played their hand as far as the mystery goes. Now you have to unravel, like,
who's doing this.
Well, what's going to happen with the mystery. But so that's why I don't think that they can really lean too hard on the tropes anymore. So I'm not exactly nervous. I just think that this was hopefully the hump. This was just where, like, okay, well, we got to transition.
I'm sure they're going to have at least an 80s episode.
No. They've already shown. I mean, you haven't seen the trailers, but they've shown like little snippets of future kind of more tropes, more recent ones. And so it's going to continue to progress. I just think that I'm not so worried that it's going to keep trying to convince us that something is real here. I think they've already played their hand, and so from this point forward, I think it's going to be more plot driven.
I think I hope you're right, and I'm worried though that you're too used to HBO shows because that's what an HBO show would do.
Well, kind of, because like I remember when we were watching The Outsider. That one was a little slow at points too, where I was just like, well, you just did this episode, like we did 2 episodes of the same mystery. Like especially near the end, I didn't feel like the plot was being driven.
Sure, but that's because I thought they were trying to solve it at that point. Okay, so I don't want to get into the weeds here, but a couple things I noticed. I wanted to say fuck you very much, because last week I've mentioned that she had lost her accent, and we see this week I was correct, because she was absolutely back to her Russian accent when she started talking about Pedro.
No, she said Pietro, but she didn't
She started singing in her Russian accent.
Yeah, but she started singing in Russian.
But
when she speaks, she doesn't have a Russian accent.
Right, because she's losing it in these things when she's not full on Wanda, man. I'm telling you. Like,
so you're stop. You're wrong about this. You're wrong about this.
It happened in the episode. I marked it down.
It didn't happen in the episode. In the episode, you saw her speaking Russian.
Okay,
but she lost her accent immediately after Ultron.
Yeah. Okay.
Every subsequent movie, she didn't have the accent anymore.
All right, so then
you got to go back and watch
did you see that? So of course we saw the little sword symbol on Geraldine.
Yeah.
But did you notice on the neighbor the ring that she had on?
No.
It had like an executioner thing. Like a Grim Reaper sort of thing.
Oh, yeah? I didn't notice that.
I noticed that. I was like, I wonder if that's playing into what you brought up on the last episode when we talked about, who was it? Did you call it
Grim Reaper?
The Grim Reaper. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. No way. I didn't even notice that. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, so going back, our predictions, right? Mm-hmm. So I predicted that it was a different reality, a different dimension.
Sure.
And that's wrong. Yeah. I don't think that that's a different dimension anymore.
Clearly.
Yeah. I think that now what's happened is that she broke apart reality, and that sword is there containing it and trying to lull her into
bringing this back to normal.
Yeah, bringing it back to normal.
I would agree. I think I think I was right in pointing out that most of the other people there are almost there as jailers. I think I'm still going with that.
Yeah. I don't think necessarily jailers.
No.
I think more people just that are
managing the situation.
Yeah, managing the situation.
Absolutely. I agree. I think
because jailers somehow implies a prison, and I don't think it's a prison.
I agree. I'm with you there. I don't think she is being held there on evil pretenses.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, the weird things to me are like the vision stuff, and she's able to rewind it and control it and stuff like that.
It's her reality. She created a reality.
Right.
And she's breaking it apart.
Yeah.
She's collapsing reality around her, and Sword is containing it.
Yeah.
That's what I think that field was.
Right.
They're just holding that shit in
Yeah.
until the agents inside can calm her down in a way that she's comfortable
I like that. I think you could be right on that. And why do you think these old school shows is what she had in Russia, kind of like how other countries are behind us, and that's the things that are comforting to her. So
I think what she is she was looking for stability. A lot of what her story is that she was in this cute family that got
with Pedro,
with her brother and her parents died in a building collapse.
Yeah,
and then since then she's been experimented on, and she tried to have a relationship with Vision, and then obviously they got caught up. But all what she's wanted is family, and stability, and so she's maybe defaulting on these tropes that are very familiar to keep herself from really falling apart. But because she's literally a mind, controlling, reality controlling, probably mutant is what I still think. I think that she's just kind of defaulting to that.
I like it.
And so Sword, which is, just another shield, is trying to keep her from destroying the fucking world. But I think that she's the one that's in control, and everybody else is just, remember when I said that I thought that one lady, the neighbor, it was the bad guy? I don't think that that's the case anymore.
Clearly that's not the case either.
She was so worried. She's please don't say shit.
I know, and she's pointing out how Geraldine, and so clearly I think there's some kind of feeling Geraldine is the weak link of the crew, kind of being in there to try to help her, and that's the whole why did you is she in there or whatever, and they're being very friendly about it and whatnot, but
maybe she just has a different idea for how she wants to handle her.
Yeah.
And she maybe thinks, you know what, we can start easing her back into reality.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just please take it slower than what you're doing right now, I do. That's why I said that I like this episode, because I feel where it did progress the plot, it progressed it in really good ways.
I want to point out, as I wrote my notes, before we got to the Geraldine freak out scene, I was I really don't like this show.
Yeah, before that happened, even though we did get one reset time scene.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was enough plot pushing
right.
for me to be anything but bored.
Yeah.
Because everything was just way too campy. It was so over the top, and it was consistently over the top in a way that wasn't pushing the plot. And I was just like, I want the listeners to know that I know that it was technically pushing the plot because she had her kids or whatever, but that's not what I mean.
No, not at all. I think, like, the problem I had with the episode, too, was because I was kind of bored with the Brady Bunch stuff, I'm now only looking forward to, like, the last 8 minutes of the show or so.
Oh, that's what I'm hoping they don't do.
Right, because that's the worry I have. Because, like, that's what they've done is kind of like, here's your filler, here's your comedy, your jokes, this and that, and now 8 minutes of what's really going on. Yeah. So sometimes even a little bit less than that, but 6 to 8 minutes of like, here's what we're really dealing with. So
like, I think that they did that better in the first couple of episodes, and now the first couple of episodes are kind of painted in a better way for me.
Yeah.
Because one, I think you were absolutely right with Dottie. Mm-hmm. That Dottie thing where you were just like, no, I think that you're here to hurt somebody. I think that you're going to hurt us.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, okay, that makes perfect sense then.
Yeah,
because it's her that's creating the reality.
Right.
But what I did also, I was talking to some other friends and they kind of pointed out that the scene at the beginning where Kitty Foreman is like, stop it.
Yeah.
And she's just like, stop it. And it almost seems like she's looking at Wanda. Mm-hmm. It's like Wanda was, because that guy started talking, she started choking him.
Yeah.
And then she was saying stop it like that over and over to Wanda.
Yeah.
Not because reality was breaking, but because she was pleading to Wanda to make it stop.
Sure.
Because she was choking him out.
Yeah.
And then when Wanda looks at Vision and goes, okay, Vision, help him. It's almost just like, all right, I'm done kind of torturing him. Go ahead. And like that entire scene is colored differently because what I thought was that it was just this weird, surreal break in reality.
Yeah.
And now what I think is that it was real people pleading with her to stop doing it.
I totally agree with you on that. And it plays into, as you point out, the Dottie thing last week, with Geraldine last week, when she's like, it really feels like before that scene at the 60s style women's meet, like Geraldine was maybe told, she's not going to even notice you, or she's not even going to, because you're just going to be there and you're part of that. She's not even going to.
We just need 4 people there.
Right. She's not even going to, notice that you're there. And then she's like, start talking to her. She's very off-put that she's talking to her. I kind of brought that up last week.
Yeah.
And I think this plays even more into that. And that's why the other neighbor kind of pointed out, like, oh, is she in there? Because it's like a little nervous that she was involved in the magic trick and everything else. Yeah. And so she might be having worries about this situation that she's brought up outside of this reality to her superiors and whatnot. And that's why the other 2 neighbors are kind of worried about her in this episode.
And it makes sense that they would send her in to be the friend now.
Sure.
Because if she did establish a connection with this girl, and the idea is to familiarize herself with them and like get them to like trust her so that they can start calming her down.
Yeah.
That they would be like, okay, well, she established a connection with you, so we're going to send you in, but please don't fuck up. Mm-hmm. But because she's new and not as experienced as everybody else, and maybe she has her own fucking, like maybe she's just like, no, I think we can start easing her into it. That's why she was just like, oh, your brother, the one that was killed by Ultron. And that was just like Wanda was like, I'm not ready for this shit yet. Goodbye,
Yeah. Fuck, I didn't. Yeah, because when you first started to breach that right there, I was like, and then when you were like, goodbye. Yeah, no, that seems about right to me. Yeah, you're right. Like this is something. Man, this is. Fuck, now this is interesting to me again. But that's the thing is like the mystery is the interesting to me, and that's the worry.
Yeah, that's the worry is that I don't want to have to wait until the last 5 minutes of the episode to enjoy it. Yeah. If you're gonna do the setting quirky, let it be a backdrop.
Sure. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much all I thought about this episode. It was kind of a little bit shorter, so we'll be well, I'm ready for Friday again.
Yeah, dude, me too. Like, I actually am very, very much looking forward to Friday. There's still a couple of reveals that are set to happen. There are a couple of actors. I know of 3 big actors that are supposed to be in this show that are going to play a part. And as soon as you see them, you're going to be like, okay, this is moving forward. Yeah, for sure. One of them is, like I said, the guy from the X-Men from the Fox movies. Yeah. I still don't know what role
he's a big Fox actor in general, so it makes sense because Disney acquired the Fox. Because he was in, like, multiple seasons of American Horror Story and things like that, too, which were Fox productions as well. So, Yeah, interesting, man. I can't wait to see
whatever he is. I'm very excited to see. But there's also small characters from the greater MCU that are supposed to be in this.
I can't wait to see that.
So,
cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Excellent.
All right, everybody. Well, that was our A Year in Marvel episode. These are going to be shorter episodes, so don't feel bad. Until we do the movies. Those will probably be longer.
Of course. Yeah, those will be like a full movie coverage like we do for anything else. But the TV show is just a smaller medium, so you're getting weekly nice drops like this.
Yeah. All right. See you next week, everybody, for another Year in Marvel. Tune into the regular Minorities Report this week.
Minorities Report coming up. The next one's going to be Full Metal Jacket coming at you live.